These questions. Oh, this is going to be on, sorry, Vitrag Vignan. I think I need that bell more than anybody else. So let me find the topic. Okay, so there are some questions, some mysteries of universe that Shailesh Anand is going to shed light on. How are karmas charged and discharged? How does perpetual soul come into bondage of the body? What is true religion or Atma Dharma? Who am I? How can I attain permanent bliss? Who is the creator of the world? And how is the universe governed? So without further ado, Shailesh Anand.
I take your permission to go through the leftover part of the first presentation. Anyway, that will be in continuity with the second one, and then we'll flow into the second one. Leftover slide. Am I editing it? Leftover slides. As I was saying, human life is a unique live experiment, and whenever there is an experiment, there are two parts, experimental and experiment, and that I briefly touched upon. Now, the mystery is about two things. One is who am I, and the another mystery is who is doer. But before going to that, let's answer this question, that am I independent doer? How many of you feel that I am independent to do everything? All of us have collected here, and if we ask, we'll say, okay, I independently came here, it was my desire, it was my will, and I made it. Is that true? Or no? No. Some say no, some say yes. Anyway, suppose I was to come here, but some circumstances may not have gone my way. My colleague Deepak Anandji was to join me, but somehow his passport didn't came from the embassy in time, and he had to defer coming here. So for any event, when the things go according to my expectation, I would say, oh, I did it. I'm a surgeon. So when patient praises me, oh, doctor, you did a good job, I'll say, oh, I did good surgery. But when there is some complication, then I'll say, what can I do? I tried my best, your body didn't respond well, your immunity is low and whatnot. If I am the savior, my father should not die. Should he be? Doctor knows. So, am I independent about all these things? And CEO of the company boasts that, oh, I run the company very nicely. But when the things go awkwardly, then says, no, economy was bad, this was that. And in India we say, Maro Shani Saro Nato. My Saturn was not good, my Guru was not good. So, yeah, my partner did the wrong thing. So this is to be answered. And after all, we have a nice meal and we go to bed. Who runs the inner body functions? Who runs the heart? Who runs the breath? Am I the doer there? It's a very important part of the question. So, Gnani says that for each event to occur, so many circumstances have come together in a particular sequence. If single of the evidence misses that sequence, the thing may not happen. Kalpana Chawla's spaceship went up, and for a single evidence of thermal insulation, everything broke down. So, who is controlling all these circumstantial evidences? Are we in control of all these evidences always? And if we are not, should we be saying I did it or I didn't do it? So Gnani says it happens. It happens. So life has two parts. One is the part of happenings, happenings within and happenings outside. Within my inner self, and outside by which can be seen and perceived by five senses. All these happenings require circumstantial evidences to come together. It is accumulation and dispersion of the circumstantial evidences. But do you think they come and go away randomly? Is the world or universe a chaos, or it is in perfect order? Our logic says it has to be in perfect order, otherwise it cannot run. So Dadaji termed it as a scientific circumstantial evidence. So part of happenings is based on scientific circumstantial evidences. But as she was asking me previously, life has another very important part which probably we are not aware of, and that is the part of my relative free will which is in form of bhav, projections or decisions. Let's elaborate into that. First part we already saw, okay, in a chain of events, I am not independent doer, but I am instrumental doer. Of course I am doer, but I am not independent, but I am instrumental doer. I need so many things, but without me also it cannot happen. Second thing, let's go in. Are we independent about our mind? How many feels raise yes? Hand, raise your hand. If you feel you are independent about your mind, raise your hand. No one? Okay, fine. Because we say when the thoughts are good, oh, I thought nice things and it happened nice. But when the mind doesn't allow us to sleep, then we won't try to stop the bad thoughts, but we sometimes can't do it. So we are not independent about our mind. Speech we already discussed that we are not independent about speech. And body we realized that if we would have been independent about body, there would have been no doctors in the world. So if it is so, then I will ask Gnani that where is my independence? If I am not independent, there is no responsibility on my part. So he says, you are independent, but you are not aware of your independence and so not able to realize and utilize your free will part properly. So that is the second part, bhav, projection or decision. Let's understand that what do we mean by bhav, projection or decision. Suppose we all 120 or 130 people are sitting here. So effect or action is same for all of us. When we walk out of the seminar after completion at the end, do you think the inner bhav or decision or projection for all will be same or different? Different. Somebody will say, oh, that was good, I should know more. Somebody will say, oh, if that was a good time pass and I may not come again. And somebody may have inner, oh, it was boring. But this is just an example that with each action, inside, spontaneously, incessantly, positive and negative, bhava bhav goes on. Let's take another example. Suppose this temple has come up and few known persons from the society would have gone to everybody that please contribute something, the nice thing is coming up. Somebody like me will say, okay, take $101. And they know, okay, Dr. Sahib is not to be left for $101. So they will have my snacks, my tea, and they will take the check of $11,000. Somebody next door will give 501. Now, Manish Bhai comes to me and says, Doctor, you did a good job. You gave $11,000, so people followed you. I said, no, I was not to give this much, but they pressurized me a lot, so I had to give. So in action, I give 11,000, but my bhav was not to give this much. Similarly, he had less facility, so he gave 501, but his bhav was over. If I would have more, I would have given more. So this is very important, that what's occurring inside, wherever you sign, bhav is nothing but my state of being. Suppose there is a quarrel with somebody, there is exchange of words. Inside I may have different bhavs. Oh, I'll slap him. I'll show him so he or she will not take my name again. If I sign and be with that, I'll generate the negative bhavs. It may occur, but if this holistic inner science helps me, oh, let me beg the pardon, let me apologize, and it's my mistake, I should not take the revenge. Then I'll change it. So this is what is happening inside, generates the new codes. How? There is a beautiful science that the pure soul or the conscious is one element and the matter is another element. As the two have come together, this process, extra third special properties have come up in which I am name bearer, I am doer, everything has come up. Anger, greed, pride, deceit. It is neither the property of matter, neither the property of pure soul. They have come up as extra properties as the two elements have come together. So what happens is it's like an electromagnetism. No sooner the bhavs are generated and wherever I sign it as I am, the atoms and molecules from outside get attracted within, they get charged and they get physically stored over there, and that's known as the causal part or implanting the new seeds based on the bhavs or projections. And they are physically stored over there like something stored on a hard drive or CD or DVD. You cannot see with the naked eye, but they are there. So no sooner you put it into play, it will show like that. Having understood these two parts, Gnani says that only relative free will human beings have in this life is in this area of bhav, decisions or projections. In the part of happenings, you are not totally independent, but you are part of the chain of events. But here you are independent, so use your relative free will best way. Now, how to use my relative free will in the best way? That's the next question. So, going through the day, he has seen that there are two principal bhavnas I should be doing. One, let my mind, body, speech be used for others. And second, I want to know who am I. Now, further to that, how can I know who am I? Is it from books? Is it from scriptures? Is it from Google? And it says that, okay, in good times, people were used to do the self-efforts and were able to reach to the experience of the pure self. In present times, it's not really possible, or even though sincere efforts are being done, we are not reaching to the experience of the pure self. Why? Because the characteristic of the present time is, I speak differently than what I think, and I behave differently than what I speak. The harmony of mind, speech and body has been disrupted, and that's how by my own self-efforts I am not able to reach to the experience of the pure self or who am I. So then how can it be reached? So it says that if you have some Gnani Purush, absolute ones, Tirthankars are at the bottom of that, top of that, but anyone who is representing that, who is a self-realized person, who has the experience of it, even within the body, who is the thorough experience of relative and real self, is known as Gnani. If you happen to see him, with his grace and guidance, you will be able to start your experiment after knowing who am I. So human experiment has two parts. One, with the belief that I am name bearer and I am doer. Till that time, you can change your decisions or projections for the better one, which we are going to see what it can be. And second part, once I know who am I, my experiment changes because the experimenter is now awakened. So two principal bhavnas in the morning in 9 codes we have already talked about. So this forms the basis of this easy science. And before going to who am I, as I was touching to that lady's question that we want to do it but we can't do it. So this is here the basis lies, because my relative free will is to change my bhavs, decisions or projections. Even the present prakruti, present personality of mine is the result, effect or fruit of my previous beliefs or opinions which were fed in. So right now what my personality is reacting is like a machine based which is made of the previous beliefs. I may or may not be able to change it soon, but I should be changing my present bhavs, present decisions or present projections which will make my future prakriti. So here is the science of charge and discharge. As I was explaining you, pure conscious or soul is one part, matter is another part, to have come together and extra special properties have been generated, and the two processes continuously go on, charge and discharge. Discharge, once it is charged, discharge is done by natural regulatory system. I'll give you a funny example. Suppose at the younger age, this side and this side decides that I want a nice wife. Then further codes are being put in. She should be educated. Somebody says, okay, she may not be educated, she should be good looking. Somebody says she should be from a rich family. Or somebody says she should be obedient, whatever, XYZ. Now that decision has been signed by me as a contract. Now nature says, wait, time is not right, you cannot get wife right now, you have to be 22, 23, 24, so time factor. Then so many girls come in and he signs one. And the relatives say, why did you decide this one? So many better girls had come your way, but they don't know where my codes were matching. So when the nature gives result, it's an orderly, organized system of giving the result, and it gives in a scientific way. Only wife cannot be given or only husband cannot be given. There has to be mother-in-law, brother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law and whatnot. So when the scientific circumstantial evidences come together, it is a whole lot. I had just decided to be something like a doctor. Now I may have decided way back. It happened that when I cleared my qualifying examination on 12th, my father critically, categorically told me, don't go for medicine, it is a very long line, we don't have that much money and you will have a life full of tensions. But somebody draw me from within to become a doctor, overruling them. From where the inspiration comes? Previous projections, now ready to give the result. So that drives you, that accumulates circumstances. Now I have only one bhav of being a doctor. I never knew who would be my professors, which will be my college, who will be my friends, who will be my future patients. Nature gathers everything. You and we are together today. Most of us are unknown to each other. Who gathered us together? Nature and regulatory system. On what basis? On a basis of bhav. You wanted to know something, truth. I wanted to share something. Based on that bhav, nature brought us together. So secret is here. You have full command on your bhavs or projections. Use it judiciously, best way. Rest of the things will be done to nature. Will be done by natural regulatory system. Having known this science, what we are left is just have proper decisions, projections and bhavs. Now we come to the last part, who am I? And the slide shows I am not my possessions. That means minus all my. On paper put all my on one side. My bungalow, one side. My wife, my car, my mind. Do you say I am mind or do you say my mind? Do you say my feelings or you say I am feelings? My feelings. My karma or I am karma? My karma. You say my ego or I am ego? My ego. So everything which is labeled as my, if it is put on one side, what remains on the other side? I. So I without my is beginning of Paramatma. I with my is Jivatma. Now how can it be done? Let's take it further down. If you take the part of my, there are happenings in the part of my, grossest to subtlest. Everything is changing from moment to moment. Thought comes and goes away. My chit goes here and comes back. So everything is fleeting, everything is changing. That is known as Sanyog and Viyog. Accumulation and dispersion. That is relative. Now if this is happening so, that means the part of my is having the beginning and end. And if it is ever changing, the part which is knowing that it is changing has to be permanent, has to be without beginning and end. Is that true? Who knows that it is fleeting, has to be permanent. Third thing, we say that I enjoyed. Sometimes we say I had a nice sleep. Who slept and who knew it that you had a nice sleep? You had slept. You were slept. Who knew that you had a nice sleep? So there is one part which is continuously knowing and seeing what is happening in the part of my or mine. But our vision right now has not fallen there. इसलिए बोलते हैं कि दृष्टि दृष्टा में डालो. Know the knower and you have known everything. Einstein was once asked, now, sir, what do you want to know more? And he answered, I now want to know the observer. Because through that observer, I observed everything and I came out with the science. So observe things and observer and the process of observation. So meaning thereby the part of my is temporary, ever changing, having beginning and end. Part of I is permanent, never changing and has the property of knowing and seeing. If you can separate the two with the help of a Jnani, and then you start experiencing your pure self as a forever, having the property of knowing and seeing. So pure self in itself has its own properties which are totally different from the properties of Prakriti. And the three cardinal properties are knowing, seeing and bliss amongst numerous. So once I know who am I, my experiment starts differently and my journey on the way to liberation starts to be ended when my all inner weaknesses go away. So a word about my inner journey, what I had experienced. I do not mean to say that you will have the same journey, everybody will have to go on the same journey. But in our medical science, or for that matter everywhere, if I want to learn something, can I go and operate directly on a patient, seeing from the books and watching the videos and learning from Google? Will any one of you will come for me for surgery? No. I have to stand by the side of expert surgeon. I have to learn first, watch, then I am doing and he is watching. So this is a direct learning process. So similarly, my experience started way back in 1977 when I was 18 years old. And that natural regulatory system somehow put me in contact with somebody who was experienced. But I cannot believe that he's experienced unless I start with my experience. So my experience started in 1977 when I happened to have this vision and 5 simple precepts were given. First is relative, second is real, third is who is doer, natural regulatory system, fourth is dispose all your interconnected accounts, humans as well as circumstances, with amicably with equanimity, and 5 is the account of my own real self. As Harish Bhai was saying, all this falls into the account of relative, but unless my inner vision opens out, unless I know who am I really, how can I be real? Till that time, it is for relative, by relative, of relative, and cleansing relative with relative, unless somebody puts you into that. So, having done that, next day when I was awake, I felt as if I am released, what you can say is bliss, and from that moment, very good or bad events have occurred in the life, but within, it has not bound me. In other words, I have been able to remain free of inner clashes, inner stresses and worries. And that has been self-functional awareness working throughout. We had 4 deaths in our family, 3 young kids and one my father in 3 to 4 years. At every time this has functioned from within. So that is a testimony. Harish Bhai was asking. So Gnan has to be testified in different circumstances, then only you can say that, oh, it works. So bliss or worry-free state and inner freedom functions even in extreme situations of joy or grief. Very important, both relative and real are parallel, simultaneous, and doesn't hinder each other. So long I was hearing in scriptures that you have to leave everything, go live relative, go relative. No, that is not the case. As long as mind, body, speech are there, all relative is going to be there. The train runs on 2 parallel tracks, the bird flies on 2 wings, so relative and real goes parallel hand in hand, and that's the way of liberation, everybody has said. And I bow my heads to these 2 holistic scientists who has been instrumental for me, at least, for initiating my experience and for continuing this journey. So this was the leftover part of my first talk, and I thought these 2 are important concepts of the holistic inner science. And now having done that, I'll go to my second presentation, the second part. So now this part I'm not going to talk more. Of course I'll be talking, but it will be more of an interaction sort of thing. I'll put the questions over there. And I want you to be participating into that because it's a post-lunch session. Coincidentally, my session has come in the post-lunch session. So unless you participate, you will not keep awake. Somebody suggested me that why don't you say what is Vitrag Vignan or holistic inner science about? And actually we say it at the beginning of the seminar, but somehow the circumstantial evidences so happened, scientific circumstantial evidences, that now I am dealing with it right now. So holistic inner science is science of our own life and living. In other words, it's science of I, small I as well as big I, with in relation to mind, body, speech, inner circumstances and surroundings or outer circumstances, and natural regulatory system. It deals with relative self and real self, or Prakriti and Purush. It deals with pure conscious and matter. It deals with what is in my realm and what is not, which I have already dealt with. It gives you everything required for art and science of daily living, starting from to absolute pure knowledge, what the scripture says, Keval Gyan. It also deals with the knowledge of cosmology or universe as a whole. The absolute ones have described everything, how the other things in the universe are there. It is experienced and revealed by absolute ones, Tirthankars, whose idols are here, or the enlightened ones, that is Jnani Purus. But what is more important is, it can be experienced by one and all who are inquisitive, who want to apply, experiment and experience the same principles. So essence of Vitrag Marg is understanding through the vision of enlightened or absolute ones. More important is application and attaining the results. Only what one gives result is dharma or knowledge, and third is approach. Now I am posing the question to you. What do you think, what is dharma? I will wait for answers to come from the audience. Whatever you feel, what is dharma? Huh? Okay, that is one way of looking at the thing. Unnati na marge lai jaye, dharma, right. Any other answer?
To fulfill your duties is a dharma.
To fulfill your duties is a dharma. That is also correct. That's a manav dharma or relative duties. Anyway, there can be very many definitions of dharma, but if we go by some cardinal things, number one which gives result is dharma. Unless it gives result, it's only in words, it's not dharma. Second thing, you must have heard about two words, gun and dharma. Guna dharma, we say. Any element, any elemental object has to have its innate properties. So innate properties of that particular element itself, it's its dharma. Atma has its own innate original attributes, that is Atma Dharma. Prakriti has its own attributes, and that is Prakriti Dharma. Unless the gold is having its own attributes, or it can be tested and proven, it cannot be said as gold. So, original innate properties, and any element has to have its existential matter, has to have its qualities or innate properties which are unchangeable or which are forever or which are for permanent, and it has to have its own functionality or the functional nature. So dharma ultimately is the innate quality of the element. When Atma results into its original qualities, Atma Dharma, that's the ultimate. Now the question comes, what is true religion? I have already answered. I agree that it starts with Manav Dharma, then the Dharma goes to live bad and do good, but ultimate true religion is Atma Dharma, because everything is ultimately leading to the pure conscious, where it ends or gets free of yourself from all dualities, all do's and don'ts. It's a eternal light. So whatever we are doing till that time is Prakriti Dharma. I am doing puja, I am doing samai, I am going for that, I am going for this, is Prakriti Dharma. But whatever Prakriti Dharma which is leading me towards Atma Dharma is beneficial or essential. Otherwise, all goods and bads are there, but it cannot make you free from the cycles of birth and death. Somebody asked me, why don't you talk a little on religion and spirituality? So, what I understand is religion is do's and don'ts. Traditionally, it gives us the concept of doing rituals or living or so many things. And so naturally there are boundaries. Whereas spirituality is a science, approaching the pure self, spirit or pure self, and all endeavors are spirituality. It is free of do's and don'ts, it's free of dualities, it's a pure science, and there can be associated things. So it transcends all barriers and it puts you to the pure knowledge base. Now another important question, what is dhyan? People talk a lot about meditation, people talk a lot about dhyan, and so many of us may be doing efforts also. Would anybody will like to talk what is dhyan? Before having this vision, I myself tried. I used to go to temple and they were showing the ways that believe that there is some chakra here and try to focus here, or somebody was describing that 8-petal lotus and try to focus on the lotus, and I tried everything sincerely, but I miserably was failing. I miserably was failing. 2 minutes, third minute my chit would not be there. So what is dhyan or meditation? In worldly language, efforts of focusing on something are dhyan. In the language of Vitrag ones, it is just the effort of concentration. In the language of Vitrag ones, dhyan is a totally a different thing. And every second, every moment of life, every human being is in one or other dhyan. Surprises you, right?
No.
No? Yes? What could be that? So, dhyan is a state of being. Dhyan is a state of being. Every moment, I cannot be, because I am there, I am having my state of being. Because state of being is there, it has to have in some or other place. And what are those 4 types? One is artha dhyan, where I have clashes within. Self-disturbing. I am not disturbing any other, but I am being disturbed myself. Right? Somebody told me something which is not liked by me. I am not reiterating or reacting, but within me I am getting hurt. Why he or she is telling me like that? Suppose we have a young daughter of 18 or 20. She has not come back home 10 night. We don't tell him. In USA you can't tell children, right? But within we get anxious. Oh, what she must be doing, where she must be. Inner anxiety is also artha dhyan. Why? Because it comes out of ill understanding. So self-disturbing state of being is artha dhyan. If I am having something which is disturbing others, and not spoken speech, but inner speech, he is bastard, he is stupid, all this is raudra dhyan. Anger, greed, pride, deceit are state of beings which falls into raudra dhyan. All tricks or intellectual gimmicks, either in business or somewhere, falls into raudra dhyan. Most of the times, Vitrag says, in a present time, human beings are either into this or that. There are very few people who can be out of these two, artha and raudra. Then where can they be? The third is dharma dhyan. What is dharma dhyan? Inner state of balance, equipoise, inner state of harmony, inner state of resolving the clashes, something like that is dharma dhyan. Now, somebody will ask me, okay, people are going to temple and 5 people are doing pujas, 5 people are doing samaiks. Are they not in dharma dhyan? Yes or no? No answers coming. No. Maybe. Yes, maybe is a good answer. You are not binding yourself. Then that's correct. So, what the enlightened one says, as I said, there are 2 parts of life, actions and bhav. Activities and inner state of being. Activity-wise, okay, they are doing puja and that's a science behind that. That's a good science. So, yes, but their inner state of being may be different. Somebody sitting in the temple may have a different dhyan, may have a different state of being, may have gone to somewhere else. Somebody may have a different state of being. There is a very interesting story. I will tell you 2 stories. Once upon a time, one acharya was sitting in the Parshada of Mahavir, and out of inquisitiveness, people are asking Mahavir that what would be his further gati. And Mahavir says, right now, he is going to go to hell. Oh my God, in front of you is in a samai, and your answer is he is going to hell? But waited for some time, again asked, now what would be his gati or further? So now he is going to Devgati. After a while again asked, now he is going to moksha. And the people ask, the action is same all the 3 times and your answers are different. How come that be? What is the secret behind that? And Mahavir says, what your eyes are seeing, I am not attaching much importance to that. And what I am seeing, you are not able to see. Because all the 3 times inner state of being was different. In a first, he was Prasannajit Raja and he had a quarrel with some and he was reminded with that and inside he starts fighting and killing them. So he was into inner Raudra Dhyan. So he was heading for hell. Then he was reminded, oh, I am sadhu, I should forgive and why I should. So he changed his inner state of being for a better one, forgiveness and something. So he was going to Devgati. Then he went further to change his inner state of being. Oh, I am free of all these happenings, I am pure soul. So he was heading for moksha. That is the crux of the story. That 45 agams or all the scriptures say activities are there, What is important is be aware of inner state of being. What dhyan is going within, that is where your inner awareness should be. Another explanation of dharma dhyan. Once it happened that one Sheth was doing samayik. It was his niyam to do the samayik. And Sethani, housewife, was working outside, and somebody came from outside and asked, where is the Sheth is? And Sethani replied, Sheth has gone to Harijanvas. You know what is Harijanvas. Sheth was also intelligent. So he says, Sethani is smarter than me, because even though I am sitting here, my chit was there in Vishay and other things. So she replied correctly. So action and state of being, action and bhav. The third part. We all do pujas, we all do everything. Now, do you think the result for everybody would be same or different? Outside result may be same, inside result is different. Why? Because I may be asking, I was doing literally the same thing. I don't have any hesitation to confess. Before, when I was going to God, I was saying, God, please give me good marks in exam, otherwise I can't move. My father has no money. When I got good marks, I said, God, give me that I can get into medicine. Then when I got into medicine, God, give me good practice. It's after this vision that I stopped asking for that. So what is your intention behind doing that activity? People donate. Do they donate with the same intention? Somebody will say, put my name over there, otherwise I will not donate. So he has bartered it in exchange of name. And somebody will have different intention. So inner state of being is very important. And dharma dhyan is that inner state of being. Now how to cultivate dharma dhyan? Suppose somebody insults me, somebody says me abusing words. Artha and Raudra will automatically start creeping up within me. How can I convert it into dharma? Very simple understanding. Wrong understanding gives Artha and Raudra dhyan. Correct understanding automatically converts into dharma dhyan. What is that correct understanding? Effects may start within, but I'll be reminded, because it is occurring to me, there may have been some fault beforehand done by me. See, the worldly equation is very simple, can be summed in 2 sentences. Whatever was lent comes back, is all interactive dealings. So then, if I'm reminded from within and I become vigilant that, okay, this is my own account, let me settle it down and not reiterate it or reciprocate it back, I will come in dharma dhyan. So this holistic inner science understandings puts you back into dharma dhyan. Whatever has happened is just and correct. So it has 2 important aspects. Number 1, circumstances may not be changed, but my inner suffering can be changed.